there's a different wall. Okay? So, then based on that knowledge, then standards are set, and then people have to follow those standards. Then within that, then you make your livelihood. You know what I'm saying? Because anyway, there's going to be rules. It's just a matter of, if you're used to the rules, then you say they're fine. You don't like the rules, you say they're restrictive. Like, where can you park your car in the city? Very few places. So, isn't that restrictive? But people just say, oh, no parking, this and that. Because they give no condition by it. That makes sense? Guaranteed, before when they had horses, there was no problem for parking. So then, Yabana's endpoint is then when society is regulated for the purpose of spiritual development, then automatically the material will be an improved standard. Then everything works very nicely. But if it's not, then it won't be. So you have to start with the proper knowledge, you have to start with the proper standards, then everything else will function. Otherwise, then you're not going to get, then you're going to get, as here Baba says, deplorable or dysfunctional society. Because this is a very big topic. And any questions? Which direction should go? Yes.
Just wondering, like cars, how much petrol? It's not many, because everybody else is using cars, and so we use them also. Just wondering, maybe it's similar to my question yesterday, but where do we apply Vedic things when around us there's normally not many Vedic things? Another example I can think of, you mentioned using mud yesterday as soap. I've also heard some clay being used as well.
So we mean by mud.
Yeah.
We don't mean out there sticky cookie.
Yeah. But I've also heard that,
off your shoes.
I've also heard that in some places it's clogged up the pipes, for example. So the systems that are in place in this world, and then when we apply Vedic things, could it create so do we have to take into consideration the systems that are already in place?
Yeah, but what's the, okay, take your second example about it's called multi. It's a very fine, like clay. So then, what's the Vedic point? You say, we follow the Vedic principles, then the drain clogs up. But what's the Vedic principle? Is the Vedic principle the mud, or is the Vedic principle the cleanliness? You understand? So cleanliness has to be followed. Right? You have to get from point A to point B if you want to do an activity. You have to be at the site where the activity happens. That's the standard, mechanics of efficiency. Very hard to get something done if you're not there. You're sitting up in your room, laying in your bed, taking a nap. Very hard to be in the kitchen and cooking lunch. So you have to be on site. So that's the whole point, is he's saying here, is as the king, he's on site. He goes around the king and he sees. So he's moving around, and you know he's there, and he goes around to see what's going on. He doesn't just go around to show everybody that he's special or different or powerful. He goes around to see what is happening. Something's going on, how to improve it, does that make sense? Because the idea is that the people are protected, then in that protected environment they can be peaceful. And in a peaceful state of mind, the tendency is to be, how you say, try to improve the mind by using higher consciousness. But if the mind's not peaceful, the tendency is not to do that. So if someone's not secure, they're not peaceful. So the first business of governments to create a sense of security.
So till we have a government that is, the government is also, how do
okay, so now it's no, but then the problem is now if you say, until we have a government that is in the proper place, then, you know, we can't be God conscious. Now, what is that indicating? Where does that socially put you?
How?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, Brahmins lead by knowledge. Kshatriyas lead by administration, protection. Vaishyas lead by economic development. Shudras follow. So if you say, therefore we can't be God conscious because the government is not creating the favorable environment, where do we place ourselves? You understand? We place ourselves, Shudras. And then, what's the advantage of that excuse? I don't have to make the endeavor to be God conscious because the atmosphere is not favorable anyway. You understand? It's a trick. It's a trick. So that's the whole point. Why there's not too much emphasis put in any one area. Because then we'll take that, the externals of that as important. What as we were discussing, the externals of the form and activity is only there to accomplish something. What we're trying to accomplish, that's what's important. It's not about the form and that. So cleanliness is what you want to obtain. So you use then whatever's favorable for that situation. Does that make sense? Right, in India, they would use open drains. Open drains don't clog up. Open drains can be cleaned every day. You know what I'm saying? The closed drains are very difficult. You have to have certain very specialized people to take care of it. Or if you are going to use open drains, then use them like the Romans. They're big enough that people can walk inside and do the cleaning. A Roman, you know, how you say, enclosed drain, I'm not joking, was bigger than a man standing inside. And that's the area to walk in. Then the actual place for the water was below that. So it kind of looked like a keyhole, right? So the round part at the top is where people would move, and the bottom part is where the water would move. And that was underground, right? So they would think about this thing. Well, there's others it's not really thought about, because then people can't use the variety of stuff. So, or figure out ways to make it work. You know, like in a restaurant, they have their grease traps and other things like that. Then they don't have the problem in their system. So, the whole idea is that you get a better effect from the Vedic. It's simpler and gives a better effect. But the point is you're trying to get to cleanliness. Right? But we don't look at it, oh, it's inferior because it blocks the drain. No, the drains are inferior. That means the people who made the drains weren't thinking. Does that make sense? Yeah. But that's what you have, so then you use what works with that situation. Right? And so for travel, then, you know, if you use the car, you're using it. You use the cushion.
The understanding should be there.
The understanding is not there. What's the point? How is it a Brahminical culture if there's no understanding? Right? Brahminical means it's based on knowledge. You know, coming from higher authority. Not based on knowledge, meaning coming from my senses. Like the scientist. That's what you need. That's what should be advertised. Because who's advertising? Who does advertising? The local, you know, how you say, butler around the corner or something. You understand? Who's advertising? What particular group means? Are we dealing the intellectual, the administrative, the economic, or the labor group? Which one of them is advertising? Yes. So that's the whole point. Is that the reason they have to advertise it because you don't need it. Because economics should be based on things you need.
It depends who does it.
Yes, not the government's advertising. What's their advertising about? How to, be a proper part of the community without disturbing everybody else. That's useful. So if it's based on knowledge or education, that's useful. Because people aren't interested in knowledge. They're actually only interested in what the businessmen have to sell. Is that it? Yeah. So the point is we're talking about the present application. You have to be an advertisement or no?
All right, I have a question.
You have a question, and you have a royal writ to.
You are a convicted, self-confessed child abuser. It is estimated by your own admission that at least 30 children have been raped while under your care, with your knowledge, but without your protection. You knew, but you did not do the needful to protect them. Why is it that you're still involved in education today? Why have you apologized?
Okay,
Why
leave it
have
to
you
one
not apologized
question
for
at
your
a time.
parents?
If you got a question,
Is this how you apply Vedic paradigm to your life? I would like to point out to the leadership of Islam that by endorsing Maharaj,
I'm not quite sure I understand.
you ask the question.
I would like to point out to the leadership of Islam that by endorsing Maharaj, you are endorsing what you
Just here, let him finish, because.
One question at a time.
Hey, calm down.
One question at a time.
I would like to point out to the
But
leadership
is
of
this
Islam.
going to be, are we up here? The point is because you have to remember is the forum. This isn't Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is for the purpose of discussing the transcendental understanding. Now, what you're presenting is more of an administrative element. And so this is not actually the
No,
forum.
Maharaj. I would like to ask you, is this how you are applying
No.
the Vedic paradigm to your life?
Here. The point
even
is
your school, Maharaj.
what is your intent? What is the intent?
Maharaj,
No, what is the intent? Why you bring it up in this forum, what's the point? You feel that by getting the mass it will give you power.
Maharaj,
But the point is
today you
this
have
is
two
something
schools. There are your two schools in Mayapur are run without accountability or transparency. There is no credible, independent system in place to verify the safety and well-being of the children. With your track record, this is reason for grave concern. You see, unless you accept responsibility, unless you accept responsibility,
will you stop talking?
have a go, Maharaj.
It's not a matter of having a go. This is the forum. You have no respect. There is, how many people in this room? You have no
You
respect.
have no respect for the children.
But that is not, this is not the forum for that. This is like if you bring up about lunch and you don't like the menu and how they cook the spices. This is the wrong venue.
Maharaj, unless you accept
No, it's not a matter of unless I accept. The point is that you're totally out of hand because you have no respect for Prabhupada's program.
Maharaj, you have no respect for Prabhupada's children.
I may not have that, but this is not the forum for that.
This is the only forum.
This is not the forum.
Yes.
This is due to your weakness of inability to be able to deal in a proper way. You have uncontrolled senses, you don't know how to respect others, and how to work in a proper environment. You don't know how to, you don't have any evidence.